Welcome back to AI Brief. We break down the latest in artificial intelligence, and today we're diving into something pretty huge. It's this trend where reasoning, simulation, and robotics are all coming together.
Yeah.
It's like AI is learning to not just think, but actually act in the real world.
It really is fascinating to see all these breakthroughs happening kind of at the same time, in all these different areas. It's almost like all the pieces are falling into place to create a future where AI is, just seamlessly part of our world.
Okay, so let's start with the brains of the operation, the reasoning AI. We have articles here about Google's Gemini 2.0 flash thinking experimental
Hmm.
and OpenAI's O3 model. This is like a real battle of the AI giants. What's
Okay.
the big deal about these new models?
Well, the big deal is right there in the name reasoning. You see these models, they're not just generating text or code.
Right.
They're actually breaking down complex problems step by step like a human would to
Hmm.
come up with solutions. It's like they're showing their work, not just
Yeah.
giving you an answer.
Okay, so they're both reasoning machines, but how do they actually work? What sets them apart?
So Google's Gemini, it's all about transparency. It actually shows you its thought process as it's working through a problem. And it's based on their existing Gemini 2.0 Flash model. And it's already doing amazingly well. It even topped the Chatbot Arena.
Wow, so that's like winning the AI Olympics.
Hmm.
What about OpenAI's O3? What's its big selling point?
OpenAI is really going for raw power with O3. It's designed to be the absolute best at a whole bunch of tasks, coding math problems, even answering really complicated scientific questions. But all this performance does come at a price. OpenAI keeps raising the cost to use their advanced models.
So we have Google focusing on being open and transparent with Gemini and OpenAI, focusing on just pure performance, even if that means not everyone can use it. It makes you wonder what that means for AI in the future. Will it be all about open collaboration, or will it be controlled by just a few companies?
That's a really important question and something we'll need to think about as these technologies keep getting better. But for now, let's move from just thinking to actually doing something. We should talk about Genesis, this platform that could completely change how robots learn to interact with the world.
Genesis sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. This article says it's a physics simulator, but what makes it so special?
Okay, so imagine a robot learning to walk or pick things up in a virtual environment that's so realistic it's basically indistinguishable from real life.
Okay.
That's Genesis. It combines this AI that can create things with these incredibly fast simulations. We're talking 43 million frames per second on a single GPU.
43 million frames per second. That's insane. My brain feels like it's running at like 2 frames per second on a good day. But seriously, what does that speed actually mean for robots out in the real world?
It means robots can learn incredibly complex things much faster and safer. They can basically try millions of different things in a virtual world without any risk of breaking something or getting hurt in the real world. It's like giving them this super realistic training ground to practice and perfect their skills before they ever set foot in a real factory or home.
That's amazing. It sounds like Genesis could really speed up the development of robotics in a huge way. And the article said it's open source, right? What does that mean for the future of robotics?
That's actually a really crucial point. Open sourcing Genesis means that anyone can use it to develop and test new robotics applications.
Right.
This could really make the field more accessible so smaller companies and even independent researchers can contribute. But it also brings up some questions. Will an open source platform be as well supported and refined as a commercial product? Could there be security or reliability issues with open source code?
Those are important questions. It seems like every time there's a big breakthrough in AI, there are all these new questions and challenges to consider. Speaking of new challenges, let's talk about Google getting back into robotics. They're teaming up with Aptronic, a company known for building humanoid robots. Didn't Google used to own Boston Dynamics? Why the change of heart?
You're right. They did own Boston Dynamics, which was a leader in robotics, but they sold it back in 2017. This partnership with Aptronic is them dipping their toes back into the field, but they're doing things differently this time.
Okay, so they're back in the robot game. What's changed this time? Are they building robots from scratch?
No, this time they're focusing on the brains, not the brawn. They're partnering with Aptronic, who already built a really impressive humanoid robot called Apollo. Google's job is to use their powerful AI, including those Gemini models we talked about earlier, to make Apollo even more capable.
So it's like they're bringing their AI expertise to the table, and Aptronic is providing the hardware. What is Apollo designed to do? What will this collaboration let it do?
Apollo is already designed to work in industrial settings alongside humans, moving boxes, loading pallets, doing more complex things. By adding Google's AI, they want to make Apollo more adaptable and versatile, capable of learning new things quickly and responding to complicated instructions.
So you're saying we could have robots that not only do the physical work, but also understand and respond to our requests, solve problems on their own, and even collaborate with human coworkers.
Exactly. That's the goal. And it's closer than you might think.
That's a pretty amazing picture of the future of work. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back and recap what we've talked about so far. We've seen how AI is evolving from just thinking to actually reasoning through complex problems. We explored this amazing simulation platform that can change how quickly robotics develops. And we saw a big tech company jumping back into robotics this time, focusing on the power of AI.
And this is really just the beginning. As AI keeps getting better at an incredible pace, the line between science fiction and reality is getting blurrier and blurrier. The question is, are we ready for a world where intelligent machines aren't just tools, but are actually active participants in our lives?
That's a question we'll definitely keep exploring, but for now, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all this? How do you see reasoning, AI, advanced simulation, and sophisticated robots changing things in the future? And what role do you see yourself playing in this rapidly changing world?
These are big questions and ones we'll keep unpacking as we delve deeper into the world of AI.
If you're as fascinated by all this as we are, make sure to like and subscribe to AI Brief.
We'll be back with more insights and analysis on our next deep dive.
See you then.
It's amazing to see how these advancements are already impacting different industries.
Speaking of making an impact, did you see that article about HeyGen and their new tool that makes video podcasts from written content?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a game changer for people creating content and even researchers.
Definitely. Imagine taking like a super dense research paper or a really long blog post and just turning it into a video podcast with a few clicks. That's what HeyGen is doing with this AI-powered tool. It even uses virtual avatars to present the information, like having two experts summarizing and discussing the content for you.
That sounds amazing for students who have tons of readings or anyone who learns better visually.
Hmm.
But isn't it kind of weird to have AI avatars presenting information? Does it feel authentic?
It's definitely different from what we're used to, but it raises some interesting questions about how media is changing and how we interact with information. As these AI tools get more and more sophisticated, I think we're going to see a lot more AI-generated content popping up everywhere. It's something to watch out for.
It makes you wonder if AI can create video podcasts, what's next? Will we see AI-generated news or even movies? It's exciting, but also a little bit unsettling.
Yeah, it is. And as AI blurs the lines between the physical and digital worlds, it's so important to be able to think critically and tell the difference between real and fake information. We can't just trust everything we see online, especially with all this AI-generated stuff going around.
It's like we need a whole new set of skills to navigate this digital world.
Yeah.
We need to know how to evaluate sources, spot biases, and really think critically about the information we're taking in.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the content itself. It's about understanding how the algorithms work and the biases they might have. We need to be aware of how these AI systems are trained and what data they're using, because that has a huge impact on the results.
So it seems like with every AI advancement, there are these new ethical questions and challenges about bias and the impact on society. But isn't that part of what makes AI so interesting?
For sure, AI forces us to ask these tough questions about intelligence, the role of technology in our lives, and even what it means to be human. It's all about exploring and discovering.
Speaking of exploring, did you see that Alec Radford, one of the main people behind OpenAI's GPT, left the company to do his own research?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. It's a big deal, especially with all the other researchers leaving OpenAI recently. It makes you wonder if there are disagreements within the company about where AI research should be headed.
It seems like there's a lot of change happening in the whole AI industry. New companies are popping up, partnerships are forming, and innovation is moving at warp speed.
Yeah,
It's a crazy landscape that's constantly in flux.
it is, and that constant change is what makes it so exciting. We're literally watching a technological revolution happen right before our eyes. It's impossible to know for sure where it's going to lead. But one thing is for sure, AI is going to have a huge impact on our world.
Before we wrap things up, I wanted to mention a couple more developments. Did you see what Anthropic published about best practices for building AI agents?
Yeah, it's a good sign that the field is maturing. As AI agents, these systems that can interact with the world and make their own decisions become more common, we definitely need some guidelines for how to build and use them responsibly.
And what about Meta, hinting at new features for their Llama 4 AI model, like speech capabilities and advanced reasoning? They seem to be trying to keep up with Google and OpenAI.
Oh, for sure. The competition in AI is intense. Everyone wants to be the leader in this growing market. Meta, focusing on speech and reasoning, makes it seem like they want to create AI systems that can interact with humans more naturally and intuitively.
It's like we're about to enter a whole new era of human-computer interaction, where AI isn't just a tool, but a collaborator, a partner in everything we do.
It's an exciting vision, but it comes with a lot of challenges and ethical questions. As AI gets more intertwined with our lives, we need to make sure it's developed and used responsibly, focusing on fairness, transparency, and accountability.
That's a conversation we need to be having everywhere, from government and tech companies to schools and everyday people. We all need to work together to make sure AI benefits everyone.
Absolutely. And while AI has its risks and challenges, it also has amazing potential for good.
Yeah.
It can help us solve some of the world's biggest problems, like climate change, disease, poverty, and inequality.
Right? We've already seen AI being used to develop new medical treatments, make energy use more efficient, and even create new ways to learn. The key is to use AI's power for good while also being careful about the potential harms.
And that takes a team effort. Researchers, policymakers, industry leaders, the public, we all need to work together to make sure AI is developed ethically, responsibly, and in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Well said.
Yeah.
So on that positive note, I think it's time to wrap up our discussion and give our listeners some final thoughts to consider.
So let's try to sum up everything we've covered today.
Yeah, let's recap.
We started by talking about this race to create AI that can reason like humans, with companies like Google and OpenAI really pushing the limits. Then we talked about simulation and how platforms like Genesis can totally change how robots learn. And of course, we can't forget about how AI is becoming a bigger part of our everyday lives, like tools that create video podcasts and AI agents that can actually do things and make decisions.
Right. It's clear that AI isn't just some far-off idea anymore. It's here, it's changing really fast, and it's already having a big impact on everything.
Yeah.
So here's something to think about. As AI keeps getting smarter and more common, what will our role be as humans? Will we just be passive consumers of all this AI-generated stuff? Or will we find new ways to use AI to actually improve ourselves and create a better future?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's one we all need to consider as we move into this exciting new territory.
It is. We encourage you to keep learning, keep asking questions, and stay involved. The future of AI is being shaped right now, and it's up to all of us to make sure it's a future we're all happy with.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on AI Brief. If you enjoyed today's deep dive, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. We'll see you next time.